Hey guys, it's Drew again. I wanted to talk about some TTMs that I did over a decade ago. Now, TTM means through the mail autographs, where you send a card or a letter to a player, they sign it and send it back. And I want to talk about one of the best experiences I had and one of the worst experiences I had. But either way, they make great stories, so let's check it out. I was first introduced to through the mail autographs back around, I don't know, 2011 or so. And of course, this has been going on for decades, but I found out how to do it and I learned, and I'm not going to go through all that. There's plenty of great resources, plenty of great collectors. In fact, some of you guys are amazing at it and give so much better in-depth detail on how to do it. So go check out some of those guys. But I was thinking about it, and I wanted to talk about two stories. One of the best ones, experiences I ever had, and one of the worst. So let's start with the best. So the best, one of the best was, it was actually the very first one I ever got. And when I first got into it, I was really new, so I was just learning and how to do it. But what I did was I would write a letter, and I like to ask some questions, ask some basic questions, and if they wanted to answer them, they could, and if not, that was fine. And so I sent out, I don't know, probably about 10 or 12 to start out. And within 2 weeks, I got one back right away. And it was from Carl Erskine. And this actually started the, not obsession, but the high respect I had for Mr. Erskine, who's still alive today. And if you don't know who Carl Erskine is, he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers from 1948 through 1959. He was on all those World Series teams and won 2 World Series, actually, 1955 in Brooklyn and then in 1959 when they moved to Los Angeles. And he was a huge part of their pitching staff, right-handed pitcher. And I've got a couple other Carl Erskine pieces that are great. I've shown some of them before. Go back and check them out, or maybe I'll show them again. But anyway, so I sent Carl Erskine a card, and all I did was I was trying to find playing days cards of people that I knew from a website that they may send back. And so I had a 1952 Bowman Carl Erskine card. Now, if you know the 52 Bowmans, they're smaller, and but I didn't know about things to write on, and you should pick probably a lighter card so the ink shows up better and all that. I was just learning and new. It was just exciting to me. So I sent him this card and I sent him this letter, and I got back the letter, and I'll show you what I did. So here's the letter that I sent, and there's the card. And he, sure enough, did sign it. And so I wrote him a letter, and it just, I'd be honored if you'd consider sending this card, whatever. And then I asked him a few questions. The first question: who was the person you hated to face most in a tight game? And he responded, Stan Musial was the best hitter in my day. Well, I'm a Musial guy, so that's kind of cool to see. And again, he wrote the whole sentence in his own hand. What was the greatest thrill of your career? And he wrote 1953 World Series. I set the strikeout record in the World Series against the Yankees with 14. And I ended up making a really unique and incredible piece that I've shown off before, highlighting that amazing feat. And then the third question I asked is, who was the best team you played with or against? And the 1953 and the 1955 Dodgers were the greatest. And of course, 1955 Dodgers was the year they finally won the World Series. So I wrote, if you would be so kind, could you write 55 World Series champs? And that would be great. So he did, and he actually dated it. And it says, if you can read it, hi Drew, it's got 12/11/12, so that's how old it was, 13 years ago, I suppose, or yeah, 13 years ago. He signed it on the letter, Carl Erskine, number 17, which was cool. And then the card itself, which is kind of hard to read, but you can still read it. The signature, he signed in beautiful blue, Carl Erskine, and very small on the edge, 1955 World Series champs. So this was super cool because most of the TTMs that I was getting back, or started getting back, they would sign the card. A lot did not answer the questions, which was fine. And that was it. And they kind of did it. In fact, I've got another one on the back here, which was another one that was pretty early, which was Billy Pierce. He answered the question. You know what? I think I might do a series on some of the TTMs, but this one's really cool. That Billy Pierce just showed up. That's not why I was doing this video, but I just realized it's on the back, and he actually signed an index card that I sent as well. We're going to do a series, I believe, on some of the questions and what these guys answered, because not all of them were superstars, and it was really kind of cool to get the responses. Anyway, so Carl Erskine ended up being just a great TTMer. I think he still does. and but he's just an amazing person. His life outside of baseball, some of the struggles he went through. He's written a couple of books. I love those books, and I really suggest if you don't know who Carl Erskine is, go check him out because he's got some amazing cards. He's got an amazing story, and he was on an iconic team. He was actually 1 year behind Jackie Robinson. He wrote a book called What I Learned from Jackie Robinson, and that was from a white player who was quiet and a Christian, and he just observed all the struggles that Jackie Robinson went through and how much character he learned and built by watching Jackie Robinson going what he went through. And it's just really incredible, man, and I just really suggest you looking him up. But on to the worst. Now, as you guys probably know, I am not a Yankee fan. In fact, I am the opposite of a Yankee fan. I grew up this way. It's bred into me. You just don't like the Yankees. And I mean, it's just kind of the way it is. Most of all, it's fun. You know, I don't hate people or anything like that. But as an organization, I think you guys understand. We all have teams we don't like. But one of the guys who did TTM, and he was expensive, so you would pay to send stuff. But I never could find a definite amount of how much he would cost. Was a pitcher who's passed away now, and it's Hall of Famer Whitey Ford. And I was sending for the big name players or Hall of Fame players or specific guys who was very light, I would send them not a card, but I would actually send them a baseball to sign. So I really thought Whitey Ford on a baseball would be cool. So I packaged everything up, and I was talking about this, and there was a kid that used to work for me. Now, this kid he didn't grow up a baseball fan, and his name is Eli. And Eli wasn't a baseball fan growing up, but as he and I talked and stuff, he got very interested in it. Now, Eli was left-handed, or still is left-handed, and he was very fascinated in pitchers that were left-handed. In fact, he became almost obsessed with learning about pitchers that were left-handed, including Sandy Koufax and Steve Carlton and Randy Johnson was one of his big guys, and Whitey Ford, of course. And he just really thought it would be cool to have something signed by this great left-handed pitcher, Whitey Ford, signed to him. So as I'm getting everything ready to send this baseball for myself, Eli says, do you think he would sign for me? I said, well, we can try, but it's kind of a gamble. You don't know if you're going to lose this money or whatever. So I had sent $40 in cash for this baseball. And then Eli wanted something he wanted an index card. And all he wanted Whitey Ford, which would have been a dream for him, to say, to Eli, Whitey Ford. That's it. To Eli, Whitey Ford. He just thought it would be so cool to have his name on an index card signed by Whitey Ford. So he gave me $20. So I sent this package off and I explained it. I want this baseball. Could you sign it, Whitey Ford? And this kid works for me, idolizes you, whatever. To Eli, Whitey Ford. And that's what the other $20 was for. So I sent the package off and wait for it. And a few weeks later, it comes back, and I can tell there's a baseball inside of this package, inside this padded envelope. And I opened it up, and there's this beautiful, clean signature, blue, straight across the sweet spot of this brand new white baseball, Whitey Ford. And inside was a blank index card. And I was crushed. And I knew that Eli would be upset, and I felt so terrible because I felt like I had led him astray. It cost him $20 and he didn't get anything, and so I felt really bad, and I thought, oh, maybe he just didn't understand, this letter. I'm sure he gets all these requests. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I said, I'm going to do this again because I still had his address. So I wrote a letter, put another blank index card inside, and I said, Mr. Ford, I sent this to you. This is for a kid. He works for me, whatever. Please, can you just sign it to Eli, Whitey Ford? We've already sent you money for this. And I thought, to help this out, I would give him some cash. Well, I only had a $5 bill in my wallet when I did this. So I put a $5 bill in. We already spent $20, $5. Could you do this for me? Whatever. So I sent it off. Comes back, and inside is an index card. And he did sign it. However, what he did was, on this index card, it said, to Drew, Whitey Ford, send no more with $5! Exclamation point. I was shocked. I was stunned, and to be honest, as someone who doesn't like the Yankees anyway, I was furious because I thought I would have rather have never sent it back than to do this. And Eli is still waiting. I hadn't told him that I didn't get anything the first time. So what I did was I took the index card and I carefully cut out this Whitey Ford signature, and I mounted it and I gave it to him so he had a cut autograph of Whitey Ford that we had gotten through the mail, but I kept the rest of that index card, and I'm going to show it to you. So when you look at it, it's a little small, and you can see the slice in it. But there it is, in Whitey Ford's own hand, to Drew, P.S. Send no more with $5. And you can see the cut straight through where I had cut off the signature and gave it to Eli. Anyway, those are a couple of my stories, and honestly, for the most part, most players were more than gracious, and I asked for some stuff that maybe was over the top. I don't know. It was a lot of fun to do it, and I did it for a couple of years, and I do have a huge binder of different stories, but I have a lot more stories like Carl Erskine or Billy Pierce than I do of Whitey Ford. But I thought I'd share these stories of one of my best and one of my worst experiences. And you know, as you can see, I'm a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, love the history of it, and not so much a Yankee fan. And because of these two, it just sort of cemented my my passion for both of those teams one way or the other. But anyway, thanks for coming along in the journey. I hope you enjoy the story. And until next time, you guys be good.